I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, everybody? We're back. That's right. Inhale, Tadasana. Exhale, Padmasana. Again, Tadasana. Exhale, Padmasana. As we close our practice, let's thank Lex Luthor for freeing us from our minds and bringing us peace. Namaste. Trust the process. Save the world. That's right. We are talking CW's Supergirl. Season 5. We're getting towards the end. We're getting towards the end of Supergirl, and we need to understand what's going on. This one, episode 18, The Missing Link. I think we only have 4 episodes left. So to have 4 episodes left, and now we're getting into the meat of things. A lot of things are happening. We get a lot of returns, a lot of what are we thinking, a lot of setup going into next week's episode. So this week's episode, CW Supergirl Season 5, Episode 18, The Missing Link, was truly the missing link. Remember every week how I bring up the fact that it feels like we're missing an episode? Well, in this episode, we kind of get a lot more information thrown at us and a lot more of action. And of course, a lot more super sightings. So we get the whole crew. We get Kelly. We get Alex. We get Brainy. We get William. We get Supergirl, of course. But we also get Nia. And we get John Jones and McGann. Oh, we're going to have to talk about that as well. Because that threw a lot of us DC fans for a loop, the way they played that. We also, of course, get Lex Luthor. We get Lena. We get a full array of cast in this episode. We get a lot of good special effects. We get a great fight scene with Ramakhan. We get a Gemma sighting. I mean, we've set up effectively Leviathan, Obsidian. We even get Andrea. People we've been slowly missing throughout the episodes keep coming back to play. We get Steve Lamelli, who I'm surprised is still on the show. Like, how is Steve still around? I feel like Steve Lamelli is someone's friend. There's no other reason to have Steve Lamelli on the show. And yet, every single time, as forgettable of a character as he is, he's also an extremely memorable character, and you can't forget him. And that's what makes him so much fun. Did he do anything exciting in this episode? Not really. Was there a setup with him, with his I've lost that piece and talking about the anger and then coming back to play with it? Few lines, but sometimes those few lines can speak volumes. That's what this episode was all about. We're going to be breaking it down as thus. Brainy is disgruntled. Ramakhan, of course. Obsidian Worldwide Unity Festival. Who needs Coachella, right? Steve Lamelli, Prison Break. We get these prison zombies going after everyone. Employee 873, Eve Tessmacher, Pete Andrews, John Jones is well adjusted, if you know what I mean. McGann does. Isn't that supposed to be your niece? Awkward. Nia Null's dreams, Lex Luthor's plan reveal, as any villain does, drop the plan into your possible enemy's laps. Like the person that's going to hurt you the most, just drop the plan to them. Alex's transformation, we get a little tidbit of that, and let's talk about how that's going to become. Lena and Kara are back together again. Are they? Are they not? I don't know. Sit down. Ooh. We of course have our special segment, Supergirl, where we pick a Supergirl, a true hero in the real world, who is showing everyone what a Supergirl truly is. We have some news and gossip, and of course, the crystal ball of predictions. So you're going to want to stay tuned. You're going to want to stay tuned for this one. This is the episode that we deserved. This is the episode that we needed. This is the episode that finally gives us what we've been asking for basically the entire of the season. We're getting a talk on, I'm talking about getting the Luthor plan, having that reveal, having Lena be aware of it, setting up Leviathan in the biggest way possible, special effects, because there were some episodes where we did lack special effects. We've gotten them a couple of episodes, but not to this extent. And of course, being able to see Nia at work is always going to be something that we positively reflect on. We love seeing Nia at work. Hopefully, we get a Nia and Brainy conclusion. I feel like that was being set up in a little way. So much to talk about in this one particular episode. Finally, let's talk some Supergirl, shall we? Of course, we start off. So I need to bookend, and usually I don't like to recap, but I need everyone to understand and be on the same page. It might have been something that was unnoticeable, but and easy to miss. But I want to make sure everyone understands what happened. When we started off the episode, we saw prisoners led by Steve Lamelli, who was leading this yoga group using obsidian. Why is that important? Because it was later set up that obsidian failed and that this group was infected with rage. That's the setup. And that's why I want to make sure everyone understands it was useful for the prisoners to have obsidian in order to rehabilitate. A lot of people forget that prison is supposed to be used for rehabilitation, not just punishment. And that's one of the things that I love that we got back to talking about Supergirl. Things that we used to do early on in seasons 1 and 2, of course, is discuss social issues. CW was always good for that. Supergirl, in particular, was always good for that. Even when Supergirl was on CBS, the explanation given for the term girl is still one of my favorites of all time that Cat Grant gives and explains how girl is actually an extremely powerful word. And if you have a problem with word, then the problem is probably with you. Such a strong social awareness, woke statement to make. We haven't had a lot of those going into the fourth and now, of course, the fifth season. Third season was abundant with it. Fourth season, not so much. Fifth season, we'd have to be remiss. The one thing they did touch on, thankfully, were trans issues. And that was also for those of us that appreciate empathy, appreciate experiences, appreciate understanding, learning, and being woke in regards to injustice. These episodes mean so much. For those of us that, and by us, I don't include myself in that because I'm definitely a person who enjoys and is an enthusiast of the social awareness rhetoric in Supergirl. For those of you that enjoy the action pack, they don't want to think, they just want mindless comic book fun, then it also had that. So it's been that way for a little long. I'm glad that we merged the two in this episode. The prison reform or the prison conversation and rehabilitation, even though it was simple, basically based on action and simple presumption, it was a great point of view to bring to the table, especially now. Sure, the pandemic has taken over, but prison reform has become a big ideology, especially during the pandemic because of prisoners being released or not released due to corona infection. So it was great to see that being brought back in. Brainy is disgruntled. Now, what do I mean by that? We have seen a different side of Brainy this season. Is it my favorite incantation of Brainy? Definitely not. I am not a fan of this Brainy. I'm not a fan of the no nonsense Brainy. I appreciate the comedy, the humor. I like that Brainy. I like fun Brainy. I like funny Brainy. I like zany Brainy. I do not like serious, betray his friends Brainy. Apparently, Brainy doesn't like it either. And of course, Nia at the end of the episode brings up that she doesn't like it one bit. Ever since Brainy has taken off the inhibitors, he's been a different person. This Brainy, of course, understands the 12th intellect knowledge of why Lex's plan to bring down Leviathan is important, how important the greater good is. But should it be at the expense of his friends? Meaning, should it be at the expense of Supergirl? Should it be at the expense of the DEO? Should it be at the expense of everyone in the crew? Should it be at their expense? Now, personally, this is a discussion I have often. It's a philosophical discussion which we need to talk about and touch upon. The concept of the superhero ego, where it says, I need to stay alive at the risk of the whole planet because if I die, we lose the whole planet. That's an ego thing. I've always thought about that in certain circumstances. I've thought about that when we have people in the Justice League outside of the show. Whenever you have a situation where they have to save Batman or they have to save Superman or they have to save whoever, Green Arrow, and it's at risk of everyone losing. If you remember, there's a time with the Flash where we have Flash running around and stopping the destruction of the Earth. And we have all three Flashes. We have Kid Flash, we have Flash, and we have the original Flash running around. And our Flash basically dissipates. Our Wally dissipates. And why? Because he's possibly in the speed zone. My problem was that everyone was so upset, not realizing, sure, Wally had to sacrifice himself, but it was for the greater good of the world. Now I'm talking DC rhetoric. Let's take it to Supergirl. The concept of, did we have to almost kill my friends in order to save the world? And the answer is yes, then maybe, just maybe, that's what we're supposed to do. It's a very difficult thing. It's part of human nature. Nepotism, to always take care of quote unquote your own first, is a part of human nature. It's something we get mad at our governments for. It's something we get mad at. We get mad at jobs for. Anytime we feel that unfair hypocrisy, we get so upset unless it's us, unless we're the ones perpetrating it, and then we completely justify it and understand. I'm not saying that Lex Luthor is right. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying in the case of Brainy, who is on board with Lex Luthor's plan without knowing his true plan, who's on board with the destruction of Leviathan, then Brainy has to realize, and Lex says it, you have to crack a couple eggs to make the omelet. Sometimes you're going to have to take that loss. And if that loss is minimal for the greater good, then I understand it. There are times where it's minimal, but it's a destructive property on principle. That's very different. That's very different. We're talking about simply a destructive loss of personnel. Is it justifiable? If we think that no death is justifiable, then of course it's not. However, in the greater good of things, unfortunately, you have to crack some eggs in order to make an omelet. And I'm here to let you know. I'm here to let you know. First of all, my views do not reflect those of AfterBuzz or my boy Ryan. Ryan, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Alive and well,
Okay,
Tara.
thank you, thank you, buddy. Thank you. We didn't need alive was enough. What I'm saying to you is that my views reflect mine, and I'd love to hear what all of you have to say. That's why we have the comments below. That's why we have the chat going. We're keeping an eye on the chat to let us know what you think. However, it just plays so much. That trope just plays so often into superhero worlds that I had to bring it up. I had to discuss the concept of sometimes we have to take that loss. Not that there's such thing as an acceptable loss, but there is a logical amount of loss for the greater good. And Lex Luthor brings that up. They have that conversation. Brainy is disgruntled. Lex gives Brainy a direct order, not only as Lex Luthor, herald of this plan, but as Lex Luthor, owner of the DEO. Remember, in this world, the DEO is a private contracted, subcontract government contractor that takes the place of this official organization. It is owned by Lex Luthor. Gives his employee, who he has promoted, who's been on board with the plan, a direct order. Do not interfere. Trust the process. Save the world. That is what Lex Luthor says. Brainy is disgruntled. Brainy is not happy. Brainy almost lost his friends last week. If you remember the space monster that was about to eat the sun, even though Lex Luthor calculated that they would be able to take care of it, and of course used that time to set up the Fortress of Solitude infiltration and to save the people from Margot, the Leviathan employee. So he looks like a hero yet again. The point of it is, Brainy was extremely affected by that. And that is what led Brainy to basically forego his directive and his orders try to get Ramakhan into the DEO and then try to make a deal with Ramakhan. Let's not forget, Brainy tried to make a deal in that Ramakhanian language he was speaking. Luther, right? All the things he said, that was actually pretty much dead on, if you ask anyone. That was dead on. Everything he said used the word Luther to the point where Nia and Supergirl recognized the word Luther. Try to make a deal with Ramakhan and say, hey, Ramakhan, if you allow me on your ship, remember, I work with Luther too. We've been working together. Let me on the ship. I will help you. And what happens? Ramakhan was part of the plan. Ramakhan's staff went for the DEO, figured out where the kryptonite was. Ramakhan broke through the chains, took the kryptonite, and left. Once again, Brainy, if you acted on orders, this would not have happened. You broke those orders, and this happened. You thought of your personal good and the good of the few. As if we needed you. You were the only one competent enough to do this. You were the only hero, quote unquote, capable of doing this. You relied only on yourself. You did not trust Luther. Fine. Completely understand that. But you also didn't trust Supergirl and Nia, John Jones and McGann. Some of the most powerful entities on the earth. Some of your closest friends. You didn't trust them either. And you tried to do it on your own, and you epically failed. Ramakhan was able to get the kryptonite, take it back to use for the weapon that they took from the Fortress of Solitude, Lex took and gave to Leviathan. And now the actual evil plan that you, Brainy, were trying to thwart and prevent is now ever so in motion because you thought you were the important one. That, my friends, is called hubris. I call it superhero hubris. The idea that only I can save the world, therefore I am extremely important, therefore I must stay alive, I must make it happen, I have to do it, I. There is no I in win. Wait, no, that's the wrong saying. That's the wrong saying. There is no I in live. Okay, no, there is an I in live, there is an I in win. There is no I in team, and that's the point, is the team was not brought in. Now, of course, we realized at the end that this was all part of Lex's plan, that Lex knew Brainy had a bit of hero in him, that Lex knew that this 12th level intellect couldn't figure out what Lex, the 13th level intellect, obviously could figure out. Said, it doesn't take a lot of brains to know that you would act this way. Deliberately set Brainy up to fail, knowing he would act like this, knowing Ramakhan would do his due diligence, and therefore getting himself, Lex Luthor, an invite to the ship in order to, quote unquote, bring down Leviathan, but now we know to take Leviathan's place. And that is why Lex Luthor is the villain of villains. Brilliant. Yes, do you hear reverence in my tone for this man? Yes, you do. You most certainly do. Brilliant. This is chess. This is poker. This is every strategy game you can think of all in one, to predict the movements of all these pieces and put them into motion and get to where he wanted to be on the timeline he wanted to be at. Brilliant, Lex Luthor. Brilliant. I don't know if Lena was part of those plans or not. We will get to that when we discuss Lena. Let's talk some Ramakhan. Ramakhan, of course, being a member of Leviathan. Ramakhan, if you remember, we have seen him before. He's got the earthquake powers. He's been responsible for a variety of natural disasters throughout the history of Earth. Ramakhan is basically jailed by Leviathan. He's shackled. Reason being his failure, his epic failure in the past. Him and Gemma bicker. However, Gemma has a toy for him. It's a toy from the Fortress of Solitude provided by one Mr. Lex Luthor, who, by the way, is trying to get in good with Leviathan and is doing everything right, even explaining killing their employee so as if it is their benefit, and they agreed. So Lex Luthor basically provides this weapon, and Ramakhan knows how the weapon works. It's going to work with kryptonite and sets into play the motions of Ramakhan trying to not only redeem himself but fit into the plan. We get Ramakhan, we get Ramakhan at the Oregon Geological Monitoring Station. We get everyone rushing there, everyone being Supergirl, Nia Nall, John Jones, Megan. They get into an epic fight. Great special effects. Always fun to see John Jones as a Martian. Always fun to see the Martian costume, the Martian Manhunter costume. All these things are fun. We get that fight leading to Ramakhan being defeated, leading to Brainy doing his diligence, coming in as DEO, who was not notified, and brings that point up and taking Ramakhan back to the DEO base. So that's what we did with Ramakhan. All these little pieces fit so well into the storyline. Ramakhan, we get a sighting. We, of course, get Gemma in the beginning. This all leads to Luthor getting an invite back to Leviathan's ship, which is what he wanted in the first place. Meanwhile, we have Obsidian Worldwide Unity Festival, basically Coachella without the herpes because it's online and it's going to be bigger and badder. Coachella on steroids, online. Everybody tune in. Everybody just let's zap into Obsidian. William and Kelly are not over their conspiracy. They know Luthor is involved in this somehow. They don't know how. Andrea, we don't know if she's going because she's part of the plan or because she's oblivious to the plan and does not want to know. We are going under the assumption either one is very possible simply because of her behavior. She seems concerned, but then dismissive. So we get a lot of passive aggressive interest from Andrea. Andrea wants to go on with it. William and Kelly know that this glitch is going to be a problem. Andrea, if you did not catch it, says, I dealt with it personally. I took care of it myself. I don't want to hear anything about this ever again from you. Basically, seemingly in denial or part of the plan. We're not sure. However, I believe, or at least I'm very certain, that this is part of Lex's plan to get everybody on Obsidian Worldwide, making it a majority at least to tune in, and creating chaos and havoc. The example of which we see Steve Lumelli in the prison. We see Steve, one of the prisoners, of course, being infected by rage and then goes berserk. And then all the prisoners go berserk. Apparently, it's like an infection. Once one goes berserk, they all went berserk. Like zombies, there was a huge apocalyptic zombie feel to it. The zombies just chasing after anything and everything that wasn't one of them because they did seem to work in unison instead of just being a battle royale the entirety of the time, except for Steve, who somehow was unaffected. I don't know why. Lena, of course, doing what she thinks is right. These Q waves, this program, she thinks it's going to bring out the peace, the better in humanity. She wants what we saw in the beginning, the Steve Lamelli, and the yoga and the peace, everyone at peace, everyone practicing, everyone namasteing. She wants that for all of humanity. That's what she thinks she's inventing. Lex uses this as a lesson. If he put in the flaw himself, or this was a flaw by design, or he was simply speaking the truth, but it was in a harsh, harsh way, showing that the true nature of humanity is aggressive and it's destructive. Lena believes it. She destroys all of it. She destroys basically the waves for everybody. They all just go down. They're all out. Steve Lamelli mentions that he's no longer at peace. The peace is gone from within him. I think that's going to play a bigger part, by the way. Then Lex and Lena have their heart to heart, which goes wrong so fast. You're a monster, but that doesn't mean I have to be one too. Lex Luthor basically goes off the handles. Lena, I've showed you everything. I've given you everything. Basically shaming, bullying, mentally abusive. I mean, this was definitely abusive husband Luthor speaking here. That was a bit much. Went overboard. Great acting. So that those tears in Lena's eyes, played of course by Katie McGrath. The anger in John Cryer's voice, Lex Luthor, sheesh, so strong. Does reveal his plan, does reveal the plan that he believes that they should be as Luthors, they should be the saviors of humanity, hubris again. Villains have the same hubris. They should be the saviors of humanity. Luthors, they should basically take over what Leviathan wants to do, control all the people, but in the Luthor way. It shouldn't be an alien. It shouldn't be Leviathan. It should be them. Lena, thankfully, there was a moment where I felt like she was teetering. Thankfully, denies and is disgusted by this despicable request. And that throws her back into the arms of Kara. So we get her and Kara back together at the end. She knocks on the door. Kara opens the door. There's that touching yet cold, distant moment. It's the I don't trust you, but come and sit down moment. And so it seems like they're back together on the same team. This is finally, I was tired of the Lena Kara hating each other storyline, the up and down, the wishy-washy. It was a roller coaster that I did not want to be on. It made me throw up every single time. I was not tall enough for that ride. I did not want to be on that ride. It was just so dragged out. So finally, we get them teaming up, thankfully. Speaking of team ups, let's go down the list of all the team ups we saw. Of course, we saw John Jones being well adjusted with McGann. Now, in the DC comics, McGann is John Jones's niece. That's what we were under the basic assumption of. However, the romantic sparks that happened this episode with the looking into the eyes, it being broken off, and I was still thinking, oh, that's an awkward family bond. But now we have definite sparks. There was a definite kiss. I'm glad John has found someone. Of course, McGann is amazing. The concept is we do think of McGann as John Jones's niece. It's a little interesting how this is playing out. However, they are not stating that. So this isn't Game of Thrones. This is just Supergirl going on its own Supergirl lore. Fine. I'm on board if you are. Let me know in the comments below. Appreciate each and every one of you who comment. Your theories are amazing. Your ideas, good or bad, I enjoy all of them. Thank you for sharing, subscribing, liking, spreading the word. If you're listening to us on iTunes, give us 5 stars. We are the best Supergirl after show after all. Thank you so much. Share, subscribe, spread the word, spread the love. Just don't spread Corona. We're all in this together. Thank you for making us the ESPN of TV talk. Going back to the team ups we were discussing. So, team up we had getting Nia, having the dream in the beginning with Brainy, and of course, Brainy and Ramakhan somehow working together. Brainy trying to use Ramakhan. We know that's for later, where Brainy is trying to use Ramakhan. And getting Nia's powers, seeing her powers again, her getting visions. Thankfully, Nia's in this episode. We've been missing her. Getting the crew back together, Supergirl, Nia, John Jones, and McGann using their powers. That was great. Getting William and Kelly teaming up and trying to explore and finding out employee 873 who ends up being Tessmacher, who, even though in this world we're not sure, but they kind of have a pretty good idea if it's like anything else, that means Lex is definitely involved. Another team up, Pete Andrews, the military linguist and archivist at the National Library of Congress. That was a great team up simply because we got a Sean Astin sighting. If you don't know Sean Astin, then you've never watched The Lord of the Rings. You never watched Rudy. I mean, Sean Astin has been in the game. Someone we as science fiction or fiction lovers should be very aware of is Sean Astin. Sean plays Pete Andrews, finds the symbol, sees that Leviathan has been active in Greece in 1752, sees that Leviathan has been active in Greece in 576 Macedonia AD, sees that Leviathan has been active in 1134 Bavaria. So Leviathan has been responsible for a slew of natural disasters on Earth. So we get all of that. We also get William and Kara teaming up. And realizing that the Margot had an image inducer. Of course, Supergirl has to run out of there to go to Oregon and has to make up the stupid story about the cat. We still see them pushing the romantic narrative with William saying, I could go with you. We get it. I think we're all over it. Just to let you know, Supergirl writers, we're kind of done with that. Just to let you know. But we get these team ups. Like I said, a full panel of the teams. Pete Andrews, going back to Pete, his family being in danger, and Alex realizing that she is putting Pete in danger. Now, here comes the kicker. This is something that was small but mighty. Once again, Kelly says, Well, basically throws out Guardian and is like, if you're going to be a full-fledged vigilante, she has this conversation with Pete Andrews. Pete talks about how he knows what it's like when you leave the military, but your purpose is still with them and you still think you're with them, but you're not. And then Kelly has the conversation with Alex where it's like, you need to be, if you're going to be a vigilante, you need a mask, you need the whole thing. Maybe we'll get Alex in some type of bionic suit a la Guardian. That would be extremely interesting to see. That would be an extremely interesting thing to play out. However, overall, this was an interesting episode to watch what actually happened. Finally, we get information. Finally, we get an episode, the one we deserved and the one we needed. Let's talk some Supergirl, shall we? And by Supergirl, I mean picking a Supergirl who is a hero. In this week's Supergirl's position, we have Katie Sackhoff. Katie Sackhoff is going to be on the next season of Mandalorian, which is amazing. She gets to be Bo Katan Kryze. That's fun, but we've seen Katie before. If you're a fan of Battlestar Galactica, you will realize that Katie was Lieutenant Kara Starbuck Thrace. Also was the voice of Bitch Pudding on Robot Chicken. So we have a person who's she's been nominated for 4 Saturn Awards for her work on Battlestar Galactica and won the award for Best Supporting Actress on television in 2005. Seen her on a bunch of things, of course. Born and raised in Portland, Oregon. But more importantly, her personal life. She has taken this into an amazing direction. Besides all of her work on screen, off screen, she has co-founded with her Battlestar Galactica co-star Trisha Helfer, the Acting Outlaws. It's a motorcycle riding charity with which they have worked to raise awareness and funds for causes, including the Gulf Restoration Network, the Humane Society, and the Red Cross. So she's a stand-up person. Yes, she's a vegetarian. Great. She practices transcendental meditation. Amazing. Most importantly, she is a herald of being a better person. And that's why we salute Katie Sackhoff for being a true life Supergirl. Let's talk some Supergirl news and gossip, shall we?
TV News.
So, of course, we know that Supergirl has been affected, as has the rest of the world, by Corona. We all know this. How it's affecting us is specifically with the season finale. We're getting a different season finale than we were supposed to because of Corona. Production had halted. However, comicbook.com has an amazing article where Jesse Rath teases the cliffhanger ending for season 5. You're gonna want to go read that. It's breaking news. We know that the major impact happened, but Rath actually gives a lot of information on this season finale. Gives a lot of information. First, explains how they're actually ending 2 episodes earlier and how that's all working out and how we're going to actually get some of these things for season 6. So we already knew we were going to get a season 6. There is unfortunate news that Supergirl may be canceled after season 6. That is a rumor that has been put out there, but there has been no confirmations whatsoever, just to make everyone aware. So here, Rath basically gives us a lot of tidbits about what's going to happen with Lex, and if we're going to get any more Lex Luthor going out of this. So you're going to want to go read that. That's on comicbook.com. Basically, it is Supergirl Jesse Rath teases a cliffhanger ending for season 5. I personally, I don't want to be a spoiler alert for those who don't want to be spoiled, but go read it. It's a lot of good information. Let's get into predictions, shall we? Jumping into predictions.
Now, your AfterBuzz
My prediction
TV.
is Steve Lamelli, it's not the last we've seen of him. Steve is going to play some part in everything. Secondly, I feel out of left field, possibly Lex's mom is a part of Leviathan. That would make a lot of sense to me. Let's see how that plays out. I think that Lex gets on the ship and actually has to end up teaming up with Supergirl and the crew. And it's going to be reluctant. And I think ultimately Lena and Kara together are going to have to stop Lex, because as soon as he's out of trouble, he's going to go right back to his old ways and try to use that to his advantage. And Lena and Kara are going to have to work together to stop Lex. And I do think they're going to force a Kara William romance on us. But the way it's going as of now, we're kind of over it. I don't know. I think you are too. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know on my Instagram. It's really easy to find me. Find me all across the board at I am Tehran, all across the board on all social atmosphere. Also, hosting and paneling on a slew of other AfterBuzz after shows, because all of your favorite TV shows are my favorite TV shows too. We're going to be talking more Supergirl next week as we wind down the season. Until then, up, and away.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.